Good evening and welcome to PBCIP's monthly meeting. This is Sheila Green. I'm your community outreach coordinator, specialist, whatever they want to call me today. I just want you to know that we are a 501c3 nonprofit bringing empowerment and equity and inclusion to the communities through various open discussions, as I'm letting people in, various open discussions, and all guests are volunteers and are sharing their knowledges freely. This is a recorded meeting. I want to start off with prayer. Our councilman is joining us later. He's also our pastor in the neighborhood as well. But we'll start off with prayer, and then we'll start off with our first guest if they are on here with me. I'm not seeing them yet. But in the meantime, we'll have some other things to report up until they are here with us. So tonight we want to start off by just thanking the Most High for the blessings and for the mercy that has been bestowed upon us as we sit here alive and well and still breathing and in our right minds. For those of us that are in our right minds, because some of us know that it's a lot that we're absorbing now, and sometimes it seems like we're getting ready to fall off the deep edge. But for whatever it's worth, we are grateful for this day because this is the day that was made just for us, and we should rejoice and we should be glad in it. I am so happy to have the people that are with us tonight and the people that are always, being a part of what it is that we are. I ask you to bless all of those that may be sick and that may be going through some kind of changes. I have asked the blessings for those that have lost family members and those that are losing family members. I pray for people that are fighting to do, just to have some food in their house and to make sure that they're okay. We just want you to know that we are grateful for whatever you bring our way, because you told us that there was nothing that you would put on us too hard for us to handle, and that anything that was too much for us, that you would take it upon your own yoke. So we thank you tonight for everything that's about to come. We thank you for the things that have already come and the things that are yet to come. And we bless this evening in your name. Amen. So let's get started. So I was supposed to open tonight with my co-workers, Miosha and Angela, that are going to come on with the IDA program, but they'll probably come on a little later and we'll go from there. I do have already committed, as he always is, ready, willing, and able, is our assemblyman, Mr. William Spearman. We call him Bill because he's our friend. He has been in politics for a good amount of years, and he has learned a lot. He's a walking wealth of information. He knows things that most of us have not even experienced and probably will never experience. But before we go before we get to Assemblyman Spearman, I just want to read something to you. I want you to know tonight, we're going to be asking questions out of this little booklet called the Citizen's Manual. I picked this up like about 10 years ago. And the Citizen's Manual was written as a guideline for the regular citizen, because of the fact that we do not all know all of our areas of politics, and we should know these different areas of the governing parties. So we're going to go through that with our assemblyman because he is from the state. He knows a lot about this. He's also been a part of city council in his lifetime. He was a city councilman. He has worked in the various divisions of state government doing various other things as well. And now that he is an assemblyman, he is one of the lawmakers who has passed a lot of laws and got a lot of laws passed that has changed the lives of how we live here in our city. But I want to start off by reading just the beginning of what I call is part of something we should all know, which is our Constitution. These little Constitution things right here, you can get these from any U.S. Assembly office. All you got to do is call them and ask them. They come in pocket size. They come in little booklet size like the one I have here. And it gives you the opportunity to read, the full Constitution of the United States with all the amendments, Bill of Rights and everything, so you could at least know it and have it at your fingertips. Tonight, we're just going to cover some of the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment was written in 1868. In Section 1, it starts off that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the law. That is section 1. That is Amendment 1, section 1. Now, I'm sorry, that's Amendment 14, section 1. So in this, it says that in the Dred Scott decision in 1857, the Supreme Court has said that African Americans were not citizens. The amendment declared that every person born or naturalized in the United States was a citizen. The amendment's due process clause has enormous constitutional importance since the Supreme Court has used it to apply most of the Bill of Rights to the states. The amendment also establishes that all citizens are entitled to equal protection of the law, the provision which the Supreme Court cited in Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, ruling school segregation unconstitutional. Just that alone is enough for us to start a conversation. Just that alone, because we have so many things going on in the United States that, tell us that we are not, acceptable for the things that we should be acceptable for when it comes down to our voting. So now that I have read that, I want to open up conversation by presenting to some and introducing to others our Assemblyman, William Bill Spearman of the 5th Legislative District, who is going to tell us some things. I'm just going to give him the run of show for as long as I can until the others, show up. And he can talk to us about everything. You can do Q&A, raising your hands, to ask questions. I will acknowledge you according to how they're raised. Hi, Tia, I see you. Hi, Miss Teresa, I see you. Tyra, I see you. Bridget, how you feeling? And I see you too, Isaiah. I guess everybody will start joining in slowly. Okay, Assemblyman, thank you so much for being here, and the floor is now yours.
Thank you. Well, let's talk about what's coming, and then we'll talk about what's already done.
Okay.
So my focus in the fall, I don't do a whole lot of bills. Instead, I focus on trying to do really impactful bills and then trying to get them signed into law. So I'm going to switch and go over what's already been signed into law. You may have noticed you still see ATVs from time to time, but normally you see them and then you don't see a whole bunch within a week or two. That's because we've passed a couple of bills, that have to do with all-terrain vehicles. Let me give you the numbers. While I find the number, here we are. So first is A595. Oh no, that's rental car companies. Well, let me tell you about that one.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Actually, I'll use that to lead into what legislation is good for. Sometimes you don't actually have to pass a bill to get something done. The police had approached us about individuals renting vehicles and then having their boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever using those vehicles to commit crimes. And then the police wouldn't be able to track the vehicles because they couldn't get a hold of rental car companies and get the information from the rental car companies. Hello, Councilman, how you doing? Oh, you're muted.
There you go.
You're still muted. There you go.
I'm muting myself. How's everybody doing?
Good. So I was just talking about Bill A. Okay, I found the rental car company bill, by the way, but I found the ATV bill, by the way. It's A595, and it would require rental car companies to be available to the police departments 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if somebody commits a crime at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday morning, the rental car companies would have to have a line available for the police to call in to get information on that rental car before it's used in another crime. Just the introduction of that bill caused the major rental car companies to make a 24-hour hotline available to the police so that we didn't even have to pass the bill. They just made it available so that it wouldn't have to be passed into law. So sometimes introducing a bill can cause us to get what we want without even having to get the bill passed. Another bill that was actually passed is no, I just had it. Now, where did it go? Okay, A593, which, as you know, in Camden, and not just in Camden, Atlantic City, Trenton, Newark, Philadelphia, we have a problem with individuals using all-terrain vehicles on our streets and just disobeying traffic laws. They just ride down the street, catching wheelies and running red lights and causing problems. So we passed that bill. It allowed the police to track the vehicles back to where they're being stored and enter the property to seize the vehicles if they were being used in illegal activity. We passed a follow-up bill, which allows the police. What happened then is they would take the vehicles, but they had to put them on auction. And what was happening is other people, members of the family or whatever, were coming and buying the vehicles and they'd be back on the street. The reason why you don't see them on the street as much now is because we passed the follow-up bill that allows the police to destroy the vehicles rather than putting them back up for auction. So that gives you an idea of the importance of having people in the assembly, and on city council and as county commissioners that care about your issues. You bring Sheila, Bridget, any one of you can bring an issue to my office. Isaiah Rivera is actually on the call today. He works in my office. You can bring an issue to us if it has to do with the state, and we will work to get those issues addressed. One issue that we worked on is in South Camden. Who's the Councilwoman Boucher? Councilwoman Boucher, a gentleman who lives right next to that gigantic pile of dirt at 7th and Chestnut, reached out to Sheriff Wilson, who called me about the problem. I called Councilwoman Boucher, the city got involved, and now they're working to take that pile of dirt down and get it out of Camden. So that's another way that we in the 5th District can assist you. Another thing, 2 bills, and I'll give you 2 bills that I'm working on right now. One is the A594, which establishes the New Jersey State Parks and Open Space Foundation. And what that would allow us to do, right now we have beautiful parks. We have, throughout Camden, we have in Parkside, we have Barnum Park, we have the park in Kramer Hill on River Road, right next to the Kroc Center. We have a number of different parks, Staley Park, but each one of these parks costs money to maintain. And to be completely honest with you, many times the city and the county, for that matter, don't have the money to maintain the parks. So this bill, A594, establishes the New Jersey State Parks and Open Space Foundation. So we can go out to people like the Bill Gates Foundation or, other multimillionaires, Subaru, for instance, and get money to maintain our parks so that it takes more of the burden off of the taxpayer. So, because let's face it, our taxes are high enough in New Jersey. So, though that's one bill that I'm working on right now. Another bill that I'm working on, and then I will turn it back over, is the New Jersey Works Act, which I actually introduced to this group when I first got into the assembly 5 years ago. This is an example of a bill I've been working on and haven't quite been able to get passed. But because I've been working on this, the idea has caught on. And right now, the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, which is the largest business and industry association in the state, is working directly with the county colleges to help them to create training programs that the businesses are interested in. So you go to Camden County College, you get trained, and then the businesses are actually hiring those graduates. The New Jersey Works Act actually I'll give you an example because I haven't talked about this in well over 2 years. What this bill will do is, let's say Comcast has a need for 100 engineers. They would go to Camden County College or Hope Works or whatever, and get a price from them for the cost of training 100 people. Let's say it's $2,000. Then they would go to the Department of Labor, get approved for the training program, then give $200,000 to train 100 people to Camden County College or Hope Works. They would train the 100 people, and after they graduate, Comcast would hire the entire graduating class. And then they would get a tax rate for $200,000 on their future taxes. So that way we encourage businesses to actually create training programs to help our citizens gain the skills they need to work at these companies and make a decent amount of money. So that bill I'm working on, I've targeted that in the New Jersey Parks bill for passage, hopefully before the end of the year. So that's an example of bills that I've introduced that got results without having to pass the bill. That was the car rental bill. Bills that have passed that have gotten results, the ATV bills, and 2 bills that I'm working on right now, the New Jersey Parks and Foundation bill and the New Jersey Works bill. So the whole key to this, tying back into the 14th Amendment, is I am not in the assembly. People like me that look like me would not be in the assembly if it were not for the 14th Amendment. Just to go back in history, during Reconstruction, after slavery was eliminated, Black people started putting people in state legislatures and sending them to national Congress, to the national legislature. And we were forced out through Jim Crow and voting restrictions and poll taxes and literacy tests. But thanks to all the hard work of everyone who came before us, we now have the right to vote. And right now, we have a legislative Black caucus with 21 members who look like us. And we have a Latino caucus, which adds another 10 or 15 members. And together, we can have a huge influence on making sure legislation is passed that benefits our communities. So that is the reason why you need to go out and vote. Because if you don't vote, you'll have more people like Dr. Oz or whoever out there who really don't want us represented. So just to tie it back into what you were saying. And I'll take any questions.
So let's open the floor for questions. And I know you guys got questions because I can see who's on here. So I know you got questions. I know Miss Tia got questions. I know everybody that's on here. Miss Patricia got questions. Everybody's got questions. Ask the question. This is the time that we should do this. Like, whatever it is, Councilman Collins is also on here. And if it's not state related and it's more so municipal related, the councilman can more than likely, assist with this. And whatever he can't answer tonight, he'll get back to you when he can, as soon as he can, because he does answer all of them. So questions. Miss Tia, you got a question?
Yeah, thank you, Miss I don't know how to address him, Mr. Assemblyman.
Let's call him Bill.
You can call me Bill.
Well, I just want to honor your position, and I thank you for your time this evening. The bill you talked about, A593, the rental car bill. Could you repeat that again for me, please? I heard some of it. I'm sorry. I'm multitasking here, but I wanted to know a little bit more about that.
Okay. This is the one, the rental car bill, you said?
Yes.
This was a bill that actually did not get passed. And let me bring it back up. It was A595, which requires motor vehicle rental companies to provide notice to customers of use of automatic vehicle location systems and comply with certain law enforcement requests. So basically, all rental cars, they already have GPS systems on. All of the rental cars have GPS systems so that the rental car companies can find their cars. This bill basically required that the rental car companies make information about the about the GPS information available, and of course the information about who rented and so on, their home addresses, the whole 9 yards, available to the police 24 hours a day. So if you call from 9 to 5, yeah, the rental car company would give you the information, but let's face it, most crimes committed at like 2 a.m. I mean, you don't have very many crimes committed during the middle of the day. So this bill would have required that the rental car companies make the information available to police departments statewide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And simply because I introduced the bill, the rental car representative of the rental car company and a couple of the largest rental car companies met with me, and they committed to have a 24-hour hotline. Now, keep in mind, they already have a 24-hour hotline. If you want to call, if you want to rent a car at 2 a.m, you can call somebody and rent a car. So they're just making those lines available to the police so they can get GPS information 24 hours a day, so that if the car's used in a crime, they can get the information and get the perpetrators. So that's what that bill was about. And it never had to pass because the rental car companies made the information available because they didn't want a law in place. They wanted to just avoid having to go through legislation.
Can I interject again and ask, what do we need to do to put a law in place for that to take place?
Well, it doesn't have to take place because the rental car companies have already complied. They've already made the information available to police. So we don't need a law because it's already done.
So they have a tracking system for the rental car.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime you rent a car, there is a GPS system on it. So all rental cars have that.
So how does that apply to vehicles that may have been used in a crime? They could track that vehicle?
Yes. So let's say somebody, and the example that the police gave me when we sat down was of an individual who did a shooting in Camden and then went to Lindenwold to shoot somebody else. So had the police had access to the GPS information after the Camden shooting, they could have prevented the Lindenwold shooting.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Tia. Thank you for that question. That was a great question. All right, so let me look down the road. Let me see. I see Miss Patricia, Miss Teresa, Tyra. Anybody else have any other questions?
Miss Atwood has a question.
Miss Atwood has a question.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. And I have been asking this question forever. Is that okay? So the 14th Amendment says that nobody's right to vote should be restricted, but yet and still, how are we ever going to get rid of the Voting Rights Act with reauthorization every 25 years? When will it ever be permanent for people of color in America?
Good question. Very good question.
If the Republicans have their way, it won't become permanent. That's just that simple. Well, perhaps I'm not being fair. I'll put it this way. There are a lot of people in this country who don't want everyone to vote. They want to restrict voting rights, and they've come up with this. And all of you watch the news. All of you have seen what happened on January 6th. All of you know the restrictions that have been put in place in a number of states that happen to be controlled by Republican legislatures. And they claim that oh, they just want to make sure voter fraud's not taking place. But that's not really true. Voter fraud is not a problem in this country. Very, very little voter fraud takes place. They haven't been able to prove it, but they still pass laws that restrict voting. But you know what? That's okay, because they keep trying to restrict our vote and we keep coming out and voting. And it's
right.
And that's the solution. We just got to keep voting and putting in legislatures, like in New Jersey, where you have the Legislative Black Caucus, the Legislative Latino Caucus, we have an Asian caucus, and we are in favor of more voting, not less. So that's the key. We've got to put in legislatures who will not restrict our vote. And it's interesting. A fun fact. Did you know that in New Jersey, this frightens a lot of people. In New Jersey, it's my understanding that of the 21 counties right now in New Jersey, the majority of them are majority minority. Minorities are the largest percentage of the population in the majority of counties in the state of New Jersey. Not by much, but that just happened like this year. So that frightens a lot of people, and that's why they want to restrict the vote.
Excellent question, Ms. Teresa. That question in itself should be more so something to be a statement later on down the road. Whereas we go forward to our election that's coming up and any elections coming forward in the future, we should always quote the 14th Amendment. We should always know the 14th Amendment. When you walk to those polls, that's one of the strongest pieces of legislation that you could have in your pocket or in your brain. Because what it does is, like, no matter what anyone says to you at the polling booth or wherever you are, you quote the 14th Amendment to them. They got to deal with the federal government at that point, because that's how strong that is. None of us should be denied the right to vote because we all have it. Now, we don't want to have to keep having this civil rights thing done over and over again. And they did it to appease the Blacks in the 1965 time period when Dr. King was here. Okay. So that was okay, but it wasn't something that's supposed to keep on traveling all the way down to 2024. So yeah, that's one of those things that we need to send to our US senators and let them know, like, okay, when is this going to end? Like, we should not have to worry about whether or not our constitutional rights are going to be taken from us on a vote, just in case it's a Republican House and Senate or a Republican president again. And then we have to worry about whether or not we lose our rights to vote because of this thing. No, we need to actually vote for that. We need to actually push that. And I think that, starting a conversation like this and taking it even further will do just that. So if there's any more questions for the Assemblyman, anyone else?
Not a question, but I would like to say to our Assemblyman, gratitude. We appreciate you. I think it would be wonderful for the community to really have a clear picture, not just about the bills and the policy side of your work, but also about the investments and the appropriations that you have committed to Camden and to South Jersey as well. So would you be willing to share some of that?
Sure, absolutely. The other good thing about being in the state legislature is I can get money. Haha. So we've been able to, I actually sat on the budget committee the previous biennial. As part of that, you may have noticed there's been a lot of demolition of vacant properties in Camden over the last 3 years. That is directly associated with money that we were able to get appropriated as part of the budget process. We were able to get $15 million in 2021, another 20 million, I think, last year. And I think this year we managed to get something like 40 million. Isaiah can look up. I don't actually have the budget figures on me, but the bottom line is over the past 3 years, we've gotten well over $50 million in demolition money for the city of Camden. And that's the reason why you see a lot of the vacant properties being demolished. The other thing that we've been blessed to do that affects our neighborhood in Parkside is Bridget and PBCIP have 2 housing projects that they're working on. One is fully funded, which is a scattered site project, and I'll let her talk about that. But specifically, a project on Haddon Avenue, Bridget, correct me if I'm wrong, adjacent to Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital, which demolishes the old
Medical arts building and Ambi
Yeah.
Van.
exactly, the Ambi Van and medical arts buildings, and builds, and again, Bridget, help me out.
32 units. You got it. 32.
32 units of housing and 25,000 square feet of
Yeah.
rental space.
Commercial space.
And that is what's the total number, Bridget? 40 million, 30 million?
31 million.
A $31 million project. And they had they had all the funding in place except for a little over $2 million. So as part of the budget process, I was able to get that $2 million so they can finish that project and get those buildings demolished and get those new rental units put up, which would completely transform those blocks of Haddon Avenue. So that's the other thing that we could do as members of the legislature. We can bring dollars to the table to really help make serious improvements. And I haven't even talked about the money that we've been bringing in from the state for improvements to our roads. You go to North Camden, right by the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, 7th Street. They're replacing that road. They're rebuilding the road, not just resurfacing. They're going to rebuild it, take care of the sewer lines, fix the utilities, and put down a whole new road right there outside of Northgate 1. They're doing the same thing for 27th Street. The mayor's had a number of different announcements. Much of that is with federal dollars from the infrastructure bill and some follow-up bills on the federal level, which have brought well over $100 million to the state of New Jersey. And now you're starting to see that money in your neighborhoods. You're starting to see park development. You're starting to see road reconstruction. And Lord knows we can use it because our roads are a problem. And as far as Parkside goes, you're going to see that on Bear Boulevard. They're going to be coming in and redoing Bear Boulevard. I couldn't get them to put in speed bumps, but we're working on that.
And the same is the case for Haddon Avenue. Projected start date 2024. So
I have a question then. I believe it was it earlier this year when Kathy Cullen from CCP came about the Bear Boulevard how they're going to redo the proposed. So have they you just mentioned that. So they haven't come back yet to say what was the final analysis where everyone voted about particularly the residents of Bear Boulevard, what they preferred. Has that been finalized? Because I would love to see the findings or what the final project's going to be on how they're going to redo or resurface Barrett Boulevard, because that's a major corridor.
Agreed. And unfortunately, any type of construction project, as you guys know, you have a long lead time. So they've got all the input, and basically my understanding is they're going to use what was voted on by the community. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think we voted to have parking on both sides of the street and to resurface. And I don't think traffic calming is in there.
Right. No, I just don't remember them coming back and telling us the final because they did not.
No, because you told them. They're taking what you said is what you're getting.
No, I just want to make sure because
I think what we should do is probably just reach out to
Kathy. Just to reassure.
And then we could share it with the community as well, because if you have that question, then others have it as well. And there were quite a few people that were involved.
It was quite a few.
Process. So that's a good question.
Right. I just want to reassure residents. Yes.
You could probably get the information from Kevin. What's Kevin? Jessica. Kevin Jessica is the county engineer. So you reach out to her and she should be able to give you an update on the timeline. And that's definitely something PPCIP can do as a representative of the community.
Yep. No problem
Yes.
at all.
Yeah, no, thank
Space.
you for reminding us of that
Mm.
though, because that's been some time.
Yeah, it's been a
Mhm.
while. You could probably get updates on both of those projects. Oh, and I want to mention something else that's super important, and they should have already been in touch with you, Bridget. During the last budget cycle, we approved in the budget, we allocated $50 million to Coriel Institute. They are currently next to Cooper Hospital, but Cooper is growing so much they need their space back. So they were leasing space from Cooper. So now they're going to be building a campus
Next to the Campbell's and Gateway. Yes, I saw the article.
And they are supposed to be reaching out to PBCIP to get your input on, and they should have reached out to Councilman Collins too, to get your input on the new facility. Right now, they've acquired, I was just talking to them at the mayor's best dinner last night. They've actually acquired one of the properties. They're in the process of acquiring the rest. They have $50 million, and they're probably going to be using financing facilitated by the county to see if they can finish their funding. But I emphasized time and time again, including last night, that they need to reach out to PBCIP and make sure you guys are deeply involved in the design process so that it integrates well with the Parkside community. So
Yeah.
if they haven't reached out to you yet, let me know. I will call them tomorrow.
I have been in touch with Courtney Dirks, I think is her last name. We were supposed to have met on Monday, but I've been under the weather. So we're
Speaking of
scheduled, I think, to have
I'm sorry.
scheduled to have a Zoom meeting tomorrow. So yes,
Good.
it's
There
in
you
the
go.
works. In the works.
Good.
Excellent.
But thanks again. Well, we appreciate you, Bill.
Yes, we do.
No problem.
Very much so. Yes, we do. It's very comforting to know that we have someone that's an assemblyman as well as a community citizen, activist, stakeholder, and everything else, that is a part of what we are. And not only does he look at just his Parkside neighborhood, but he's reaching out on every neighborhood the same exact way. May not as tight as Parkside because he's right here with us, but the rest of the city is, having that same effect of what he does in his presence when he's there. So it's not like, we didn't get this was a good score for us. This is what voting did for us. This is where voting counts. If we had not elected him, we would not have him. So this is one of the processes that we're talking about in our civic responsibility, which is our topic for tonight. If there's no more questions for the assemblyman, I want to move on to our next topic, which is the IDA program, which is going to be presented by two of my co-workers, Miosha Lawrence, our homeowner coordinator, and Angela Randall. They're going to talk to you about this program. Ladies, are you ready?
Angela's here. I think she's unmuting. There she is.
Okay.
I have the flyer on the screen, Angela.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. So I am excited to announce that we do have this new, and it's actually more or less like a plan geared to help individuals save. It's a 4-to-1 match, and we're partnering with United Way and some other partners in regards to if you can save $200, I'm saying it in a minute way. If you can save $200, they'll provide a match of $800. It's something more geared to help you to have a long-term savings account. And you never know when an emergency may arise, but it has that potential to have that money there. We'll work with you to actually give you a support letter. You'll go to Citizens Bank to make your deposit, and it does not have to be a full $200 immediately. It can be $25 this month, $50 this month, or $25 this week, $50 next week. When you do get to the $200 mark, that's when you would actually submit verification, and the $800 gets matched toward that into your own account. There is some criteria, and as you see, I think Miosha posted it on screen. So in regards to a one person household, the income limit is $33,975 is the max that you would actually be able to, like if that's what you're bringing home, then or less, you'll be able to qualify for this program. We'll do some great things. I'll work with you in regards to trying to come up with a budget, save money, see if there's other potential resources out there, because we all know that the pandemic, not only the pandemic, but the life changes comes upon us. And, bills are extremely high sometimes. We'll look for ways where you can actually curb some of that increase in expenses. I'll pause there just to see if there's any questions.
So for everyone, are you finished, Angela?
I am. Just wanted to make certain that if anyone actually had any questions, and also they can actually reach me by calling our PBC CIP number, and extension 14.
Extension 14. So for those that are on with us tonight, please share this information with those that people who have a really hard problem, doing a, it's like they're having a hard problem saving. I mean, it's not a great time for everyone to be able to do this. But when you got someone that's matching the program, then you should be able to, take advantage of that. And some people may want to take advantage of, this situation. So if you could share this information, share Angela's number at extension 14 or 856-964-0440. Extension 14 is Angela.
Assemblyman Spearman, you had your hand raised?
Yeah,
Michelle.
This is Michelle.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. At what point, once the match is there, at what point would you be able to take that out? Is there a time that you have to
The same day. There's no so this is a really great program. There's no restrictions. You can use it for anything.
Whatever you deem as an emergency.
Correct.
Right.
We do the account is not monitored, meaning you don't have to explain once you take the money out, it's already been matched. The idea is to start you with a savings program, or it could just be used for an emergency, but is to help people start learning how to manage money, because as we learned with the pandemic, so many people did not have access to liquid cash. And also statistically it's shown that a $400 emergency can cause people to go into a financial downward spiral, from whether it's an unexpected medical bill or car repair, new tires, just the simplest things. And by starting this, it can help people to start to look at money differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that this is only for Camden City residents. That's a unique part about it. Sometimes, residents of Camden City, they're overlooked by certain things like this. And this is a great opportunity, like, Sheila and Miosha is saying, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of. If people in the community, people in the school systems. I've talked to a couple of single parents. This may come in handy. You never know what comes down. It could be anything. A car repair. We don't really dictate what your emergency is. However, I think that one of the great opportunities we'll have by having conversations with you, there's so many different resources that are out here. If it's utility assistance, maybe it's rental assistance, it may actually be, just a program to try and research and look for to help pay your water bill, or your, help with prescriptions. You wouldn't have to utilize that money for that, but through conversation, we can share the resources in regards to how to continue to save your money.
All right, thank you.
So this is something that, you can send people to our website at pbcip.org to tell them to, get more information on the match program, the IDA program, or like I said, call Angela at 964-0440 at extension 14. And Angela will be able to answer just about any question that you have. But, for those that, find themselves not feeling as though they qualify, whatever you say, make sure you pass the information on. Just tell somebody, hey, did you know that PBCIP has a match program? Like you can save this amount and they'll match this amount. And they will, that would tweak their interest, because you don't have this going on anywhere right now that I know of. And for a Camden City resident, this is big. Like it's at least a start, because just like, Miosha said, it's nothing like having a $400 plumbing bill and you can't get it fixed. So whatever the problem is, if it's your sewer line or if it's your sump pump or whatever it may be, and you need to get it fixed and you can't. But if you had a savings program, you would be able to have the money set aside, so that way you got this extra money and you don't use it to take a vacation and you don't use it for anything else. It's something that you need in an emergency. So please, take advantage of this program. It's not going to be here forever. Tell everyone that you can. And they're taking applications. They started October 3rd. There'll be a cutoff date, I'm sure. So as much as, people can get there, as it would be great. I just saw somebody's hand go up. Please.
Miss Teresa.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening. I was wondering if there's any program in the county for those of us who have a slightly higher income.
So unfortunately, right now, this is a pilot program that the United Way has started. There are only 2 organizations on this side of the bridge they're working with, which is PBCIP and Clarify. PBCIP is responsible for the entire city of Camden, and Clarify is responsible for the county. But typically the IDA programs, a national model, is they use the 250% above poverty level income, because it's for low. I guess the term is very low income. So that's like a national standard for that. So yeah, so right now that's the level. Because all the IDA programs that I'm aware of do use the same income levels for that.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. Any more questions?
I have some more. Go ahead, Bridget.
I have a question. Do you have time for us to share about the Parkside Homeowner Assistance Program as well?
And that's exactly what I was about to say.
I thought we was going to do that.
Okay, great. I didn't know. Sorry.
I was just about to ask that, so I'll share there we go.
Yeah, because when you can save money, you can also have money set aside for homeowners repairs. And how perfect is it where both of your attachments are together, because they're both coming through PBCIP. So if you save money, now you have an income of a certain amount, and this income is a lot higher on a one-person income.
Correct.
Now for your home repairs, you can now get some of those things that you've been trying to get done for decades done, because you saved a little money, and Parkside's willing to match some money. I'm gonna shut up and let Miosha explain it to you, but you need to check.
You explained it perfectly, Sheila. So the income level is actually at 100% per household size, because specifically for, like Ms. Teresa mentioned, what about the individuals or households who are over the low income limit? And that is actually the case for a good portion of Parkside. So this just shows that household income up to size 4, but we go up to 8. So as it shows on the screen, as long as you make under that amount listed for your household size, which is at the 100%, you can qualify for the assistance. It is a matching program. This is a 2-to-1 match. So for every dollar you save to put into the repairs for your home, we will match it with 2. So the maximum match will be $5,000, meaning if you have $2,500 saved that you want to put into some repairs in your home, we will match that with $5,000. And it so it could cover roof repairs, stucco, concrete, that's a big one, windows, doors, handicap modifications, basement waterproofing, HVAC upgrades, getting your handrails, or those annoying citations you receive from code enforcement every year saying paint the exterior or power wash. Those are all the items, as we mentioned, nothing that's not a hazard for your living standards, but just little things that you do as a homeowner to continue to invest and keep up your home and keep it, and just keep the value up. So the program is rolled out right now. We are still accepting names for our waiting list. We do it in phases of 5. So we have projected, I know it's over 20 households that can potentially receive funding. So please, go on our website. The link is right there. There's a pre-application, and all you're submitting on that pre-application is your name, address, phone number, email, your annual income, and how long have you owned your home. It must be owner occupied. This will not go to investors or, landlords. It has to be owner occupied, that you've owned the home for at least a year. Also, a new thing we have just established: if you are 70 or 70 years old or older, and you meet that and your income is under, I believe, like 35,000, that same limit for the IDA, you don't have to provide a match. You'll just receive the $5,000.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
but if it's a married couple, it's a little bit more because they factor in 2 households. But if you have questions, just give us a call. I'm at extension 15 and I can verify the actual number because I just didn't have it in front of me. So just saying, if you're 70 or older, you have to be a senior to qualify initially. And then if you're under that income limit, we could just give you the 5,000 for the repairs.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So yes, I work with PBCIP, but this is the side that I'm not always on. So when I hear all this stuff, I get excited. I get excited for you guys because this is something that, you're not going to find all over the city. It's not going to happen every day. So, you can spread this word to other people that, to let them know that we do have these types of programs. They're always questioning what it is that PBCIP does and how we do it and whatever the case may be. Here it is. It's right here. It's not like, we're hiding anything. We're using every means necessary to get publicized all of the information that we have that we can give to everyone. And the thing is, it's just a matter of just going to pbcip.org or calling 964-0440. There's a whole prompt that'll take you from extension 10 to extension 17. You won't miss out whoever it is. And we call you back. We will call you back. That's not an issue. So please take advantage of this. Share the information about the IDA program. Get in touch with Miosha and Angela. They're working hard for this thing. They've been doing it for a while now. And, they're trying to get people to have, the best possible quality of life in the homes that they live in, because the homes in Parkside are beautiful. They're ginormous. It takes a lot to take care of these homes. So, when things start to fall apart, why would you not want a matching program that will help you just fix the things that's wrong? So I'm gonna stop talking about that and I'm gonna shoot over to the next part of it. Before I introduce Councilman Collins, I am going to just give you guys some background. We talked about the 14th Amendment, and in the 14th Amendment, we explained itself. Okay, Mr. Cooper just joined us. Thank you, Aaron, for coming in. Thank you. I want to just talk to you about just a little piece that's in the Citizens Manual, and it's called the Hidden Power Center. It's called the political party, the local political party. Now, this is one of the things that people don't really pay any attention to. We are so busy about presidents, vice presidents, senators, congressmen and things of that nature, but we're not talking about our local. Our local is the nucleus of what we are, who we are, and how we expand out. This is how we can actually deal with the state when it comes down to what we have on our local level. Now, Assemblyman Spearman is in our community. That's something that most people don't get every day, but he's in the community. So by him being in the community, that makes it a little bit easier for us to have someone that we can reach out to directly that's in the state that can either answer the question or direct us to where it needs to go to be answered. So in the political party, it says, the position known officially as a party committee member is a post to which 4 citizens are elected during the primary election to represent a single neighborhood of 7 to 1,000 voters. A male and female are elected for both Republican and Democratic parties, usually for 1 or 2 year terms. Now, in every city, that may not apply the exact same way, okay? But in Camden City, our councilman can actually answer how that really works for us because of the fact that the committee people are the people that are actually their eyes and ears they're their ground people. So they see whatever and they come back to the council and they tell councilmen in the different wards, yo, this is what's going on. You should have this on your ballot, or you should have this in your day of work to tell people about it so that people will know what's going on. So these are the things that, sometimes we take for granted because we don't even know that these committee people exist. Now, I'm not saying the people that's on this call. I'm just saying that people in general may not know this. Now, before we go into councilman, I just want to just let you guys know, we did get ballots for November 8th, 2022 is election. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of blurry. I'm sorry, but I'll read it to you. November 8th, 2022. This is the new thing that's inside the ballot. So please open it if you did not. Early voting, new in New Jersey. Registered voters can now vote in person prior to election day. It says hours for early voting starting from Saturday, the 29th, is from 10 to 8 p.m. all the way down to Sunday, the 6th of November. You can early vote. You can early vote. You can vote by mail. The vote by mail deadline is approaching soon, which is November 1st. If you have not received a vote by mail ballot so that you can actually vote by mail, you should call 856-225-2719 or visit CamdenCounty.com/VBM, which is vote by mail. This is very important to us because we have been fighting for doing this, wanting to do this for a while, and now we have this opportunity. So we can't always get to the polls on election day. So now we have early voting. Early voting is going to be for those days that I just gave you, starting this Saturday, the 29th, and going all the way to Sunday, November 6th. The polling booth that tell you where to go, where you can actually go to vote and everything. And if that's not good enough, call that number, get your vote by mail registration so you can get it in before November 1st. It's real simple. So I'm going to move that over. I hope that you got these in the mail. If you didn't, you should be in touch with the county and let them know that you did not receive your ballot. Okay, so that way you can do what you need to do. Moving right along, I want to introduce our illustrious councilman. Our councilman is all over the place doing all kinds of things all the time. I have never seen somebody everywhere all the time. Like, that's just crazy to be everywhere, but he is. And that's what a councilman is supposed to do. Not only for the second ward, but sometimes he's in other wards, just there visiting, not trying to step in nobody's way, just trying to absorb what he can, take that out, come back and do what he got to do and make things better for the second ward. So since he's been elected so far, we have been getting the Collins report, which is a report on the second ward, what's going on, things that have been questioned to him, things that have been happening, and things that are yet to come. So I just want to introduce to everyone our councilman, our Anointed News Journal editor, and our pastor in Parkside, Pastor Reverend Chris Collins.
Well, thank you very much, Sheila Green, and you wear just as many hats as I wear. So, and I see my classmate, I believe, Miss Tia Rogers over there. Now, I am all over the place, but I would love to be at the Golden Gate Bridge with where Tia Rogers is right now, or on the beach where Miosha is right now. That's at least that's what's in their backdrop. But I'm here in my home on Princess Avenue. I want to thank my big brother, Assemblyman Bill Spearman, and his lovely wife. The importance of being part of a team. He talked about some of the things that he's doing with the legislation up in the state level. And let me even take it a step further. If I was to go to the federal level, under this team that we have with Congressman Donald Norcross, Senator Cory Booker, and Senator Bob Menendez, the city of Camden have received more resources in the history than any other team that we've had in the past. I believe we received over $300 million in aid to the city of Camden. The Assemblyman talked about the motorcycle and the quads and that bill, and piggybacking off of what he did on the state level. On a local level, I was able to write an ordinance that gives our law enforcement the opportunity, when they get these motorcycles and quads, to immediately be able to destroy them so they cannot be sold back to the streets. That's an example of how we work together. We talked about the dirt pile, and council approved the mayor $5 million to put towards removing the dirt pile. So that's how teamwork works. First thing I would like to talk about as I get into the Collins report is I want to remind everyone that starting in November, City Council will resume in-person meetings. Now, it will be limited to 70 residents, the first 70 residents. This does not include the council members. It does not include the staff or the law enforcement officers that will be present in the council chambers. But as far as the residents are concerned, the first 70 members will be able to have access to come into the council chambers. So keep that in mind. The early bird gets the worm.
Councilman,
Secondly,
before you go forward, will there be
Mhm.
any video at all? Will they video at all? Are they still going to do Zoom?
I do not believe that it will be both.
Okay.
We're going back in person. We thanked our municipal clerk and his assistant for navigating the Zoom meetings for the past 2 years. They've done a wonderful job. But now we're about to go back inside, and I don't believe that we'll be doing Zoom.
Okay. If
Okay, so
anything
just
changes, though, you guys will let us know, like just in
absolutely.
case. Okay.
But
All right.
just keep in mind, we know who we are. We know our cousins. First come, first serve. The first 70 people.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Today, we had probably what would be the final cleanup with the mayor. We were at Camden High School, and we were repainting the fences around there and doing some other things around the athletic complex there. I want to give a great shout out to our Department of Public Works, as well as Captain Kersey, Captain Coley with Camden County Metro, Nanamdi Nelson, for helping to organize the cleanup under 676 on Atlantic Avenue. We were out there about 2 weeks ago, and we did a pretty good job. And then coming behind us was the state that came out to continue to clean out the areas on the side of the highway. We try to work together as we ride past and ride under the underpass. If we see some of the residents that are in transition starting to congregate or put their stuff out there, mattresses and all that, we keep it moving. We tell them they have to go, and then we make a simple phone call to Captain Coley, and she'll send a unit out so we can keep that area clean. So DPW has done a great job out there, and we're very thankful for that. We've had many issues, and we're no different than anywhere else in the state of New Jersey. We've had a lot of issues with catalytic converters being stolen. We've had some of our school buses that got hit. We've had medical vehicles from Bell Pharmacy that sit outside Bell's. We've had some from Stars Adult Medical Daycare that's been hit. I'm in a process of introducing an ordinance that will go after the purchasers of catalytic converters. We're working with our council to council. We already have a rough draft, and I look forward to introducing this legislation next month. Again, we're going to put a little bit of heat on the people who are purchasing. If someone come to a buyer with one catalytic converter, maybe it's no big deal. But if you're showing up with 5, it is a big deal. Or if you're showing up every week with a catalytic converter, it's a big deal. And we're putting the pressure on them to notify law enforcement of the people that's bringing them so that we can cut down on that. Keep in mind, COVID still exists. We're still losing loved ones. We're still losing great friends. We've had some fatalities in the last 2 weeks, and it's still out there. Many of us are vaccinated, but there's still a lot of family and friends who are not vaccinated. So continue to protect yourself and protect others. The holiday season is coming in, and it's coming in quickly. As you see right now, and it's about 7 p.m. and it looked like it's about 10:30 p.m. outside. It's very dark, and darkness come quick. We have Harvest Fest going on throughout the city. You have different agencies and organizations that are having Halloween parties, trunk or treats. I know Dare Academy's doing one, the city, and they're doing one, and Parents Invincible. So there's a lot of activities going on for the holiday that we can plug into. Let's make sure we watch our children and as a community, and keep us all safe. We made some amendments and some upgrades to the food truck ordinance that I wrote, and it was passed back in July. The mayor, Director Camacho, and myself, we were not extremely happy with the visibility of the food trucks. So what we did, we extended the size from 16 foot to 20 foot, and we added another 5. So the original ordinance called for 7 food trucks out of 7. 4 must be Camden residents. Now we're extending it to 12. Out of 12, 7 must be Camden residents. We still have 5 licenses to give out. I know I've spoken to a few people that expressed interest maybe over a month ago, and they still have not turned in their application. So I encourage you, if you know anyone that has a motorized food truck, this is for motorized, not something that you push or pull. Have them get their information into L&I so that they have an opportunity to obtain a license before they're all given out. I know we do a great job in our partnership with Virtual Lords. I want to give a shout out now that I'm shifting from the councilman hat to the newspaper hat. Give a shout out to Dennis Pullen and the Virtual team. They were recognized as the best diversity company in the state of New Jersey. So again, a shout out to Virtua for having diversity represented throughout, and Dennis Puller will be honored for that category. So that's my Collins report. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to acknowledge or receive your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Collins. Are there any questions? I do mean any questions at all. Anything that has anything to do with the second ward, and anything that you may have seen or had heard of or heard about or whatever. Because there is a lot of things that's coming up, and like he said, they're coming up fast. We got all of these different little holiday things coming up.
I do want to say another thing after Miss Atwood asked her question.
Ms. Atwood? Mr. Reese, you got a question?
I can't unmute. Oh, there we go. I was trying to unmute. Okay. So I don't have a question. I just want to thank Councilman Collins, because every time I call, he's Johnny on the spot. He takes my information and gets something done. Okay. I just wanted to say thank you. All right.
Excellent.
You're welcome, Miss Atwood.
Miss Ted, you got a question?
Yes, about the food trucks. Say that again. I wrote down the food trucks. I heard something about that now. You guys, they have to be some of them have to be Camden City residents.
Sure.
So how do they apply? Like, okay. I mean, like, just can you explain for me? Thank you.
The reason why I added that clause into the ordinance was because so many times Camden residents were excluded, especially around the waterfront, when it came to having opportunity to have food trucks. a young man came to me in February. He wanted to know how he could do business in the city of Camden with his motorized food truck. I did my due diligence and realized that we didn't have anything on the books. Motorized food trucks were actually prohibited. So after looking at what what was available, we wrote an ordinance to embrace motorized food trucks the same as we do vendors and peddlers. And we even made the fee the same. I believe it's $650 for the year to obtain a license. You have to meet all the guidelines of the Camden County Health Department. Your truck must be inspected by the health department. You also have to get an inspection from the fire department. We do fingerprint you. If you're awarded a license, we have several locations around the city where each location can accommodate 2 food trucks up to 20 foot. Originally, it was 16 footers. We extended it to 20-foot trucks. Also, as you serve people, you cannot leave your trash or put your trash in city receptacles. You must take your trash with you. There's no one that has a designated spot. Is first come, first serve. You cannot park your truck and leave it there just to save a spot. You must remain in your truck. So we're adding another 5 licenses, which would take us to 12. Of the 12, 7 has to be Camden City residents. We will award 7. Now, so far, out of the 7 that we have, 6 of them are Camden City residents. So, we are enjoying the fact that, local people are having the opportunity to do business here in the city. So if anyone's interested, we do have the food truck ordinance on the city website. All the locations are there. What's required is there. And they need to get their applications in. I know I've talked to at least 2 people that had an interest that were very adamant about getting a license, and they have not applied yet. So once the 5 is gone, I don't want them to come back and complain when they have an opportunity now. And I want to also say, and this is not on the food truck, but this is what PBCIP, Neosha, and Tia has been talking about with Angela, been talking about the money and things like that. Assembly Spearman been talking about the money that he's able to manage. And I just want to remind you that, and I'm going to shift gears. I had the councilman hat on, I had the newspaper hat. Now I'm going to put my Ecclesiastes hat, and Ecclesiastes 10:19 says money answereth all things, right? It reminds us that a feast is made for laughter and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. So take advantage of the money opportunities. We always say, the Bible says money is the root of all evil, but what else does it say? It says here, money answereth all things. Okay. So get that money so that you can help your family and you can be in a better situation and plan for a better day down the road. So again, thank you all for your time. And Miss Atwood, I love you and thank you. I know when I get that call from you, I don't even got to answer it. All I need to do is call Waste Management. I know they so, but I'm having a real good time. I'm having a great time here in the city of Camden. I'm loving the second ward. I'm loving my big brother, Assemblyman Bill Spearman. And just so you all would know, I don't know if he made it known to anyone, but on Saturday, December 17th, we will honor him at the Christmas with Chris Black Tie Gala this year.
So deserving. That is absolutely deserving. I gotta now get my serious dress on for that one. Okay. That's gonna be awesome. So
now, if I'm good, I might be able to get his wife to sing.
Oh.
And if I'm real good, I might be able to get his wife and Bridget Pfeiffer to sing. That'd be like Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight.
Miss Patricia had a question. Miss Patricia,
Well, my question is, with the food trucks, one of my friends was downtown Camden and she saw the food trucks and she says, I'm hungry, I'm going to stop. But there was no, she rode around. I was on the phone with her and she's riding around like 3 times trying to find
A
a
parking
parking
space.
spot,
Mhm.
a parking spot. So she finally found one and it was a cop standing there. It was not a legal spot. So she asked him, can I just have 15 minutes? I want to go to the food truck. So he said yes. So she took her 15 minutes and she went to the food truck. My thing is, would they be able to? I know parking is tight down there. It's very tight downtown. If they could allow at least 2 spaces for people to either stop when they're driving. It's okay with walking people, but when people are driving by and they want to stop at the food truck, that they could at least park for like 15 minutes to get their food and then leave.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but parking is a nightmare downtown. Um, One of the locations that we have, which is the more popular location right outside City Hall, and my parking spot is there as a councilman. I can almost never park in my spot because the construction workers that's working on the rail line are always parked out there. Um, as an administration and the governing body, we communicate with each other very well, and we are very accommodating with this food truck situation that we have right now, even to the point that the Hall of Justice every third, I think it's every third Thursday or every third Tuesday, I'm not sure, but every third week on a certain day, they want to do a food truck festival. We did one last or this month actually, and it worked extremely well. And when they do the festival, all the food trucks line up outside the Hall of Justice, like 7 of them, and a well variety of stuff. They're not harassing people on parking, um, and it's something that we expect to see more, and we expect to do some festivals right in front of City Hall as well. Law enforcement understands, um, and the administration understand. This is something that we want to see very successful, and we know, people are going to stop to come to the trucks. Hopefully, it's not don't become too much of a problem, but they're not going to just open up parking spots just so people could park to go to the food trucks, because everybody else will be parking there and running inside City Hall and the bank and everywhere else.
Okay.
Great answer. Great question. Typing while I'm doing this at the same time, so I'm always multitasking. Any other questions for Councilman Collins regarding the food trucks or anything other issues in Second Ward?
So I also just wanted to echo Miss Teresa Atwood's sentiments and just say thank you, thank you, thank you. As I always say to you, Councilman Collins, when I call very often, I think last week it was maybe 3 times. And just also wanted to share with you, because of your influence and willingness to jump in and make things happen, our permits were released today. So that's great news. So
Yeah,
thank you very
fantastic.
much.
And Sheila, I want to go back to something you said earlier about committee people. As you said, I'm all over the place, and as well as the assemblymen and my colleagues in government. I rely on you all to be my eyes and my ears. If you tell me what's going on, then I can use my influence. God has given me favor with the administration, and then if it's something, every call I get is not a call that I can call a city department to handle. Sometimes I might have to call some of my friends on the outside. I might have to call OEO or Volunteers of America, or some other colleagues that I have to handle somebody's need. But for the most part, as a committee person, normally they'll see what's going on in the community and they'll bring it to my attention, and together we can work it out. So I invite all residents to give me a call if there's something. Miss Atwood calls me all the time, not just on waste management, but You know, Miss Atwood is like Hawaii 5-0. You know,
Mhm.
she sees it all. You know,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be a big deal. I'm very private. I can keep your privacy. I get calls. Ryan Bates called me one night about 3:30 in the morning because the music was extremely loud on Admiral Wilson Boulevard. And sometimes when you call 911, they may not react. But if I call 911 or if I call Chief Rodriguez or the captains, then you might get a quicker reaction. So
Mhm.
we do work together. I get
Mhm.
calls all times of the night. Don't think it's late. I don't want to bother him. You're not bothering me. But if I don't know, I can't react.
Mhm. Absolutely, and that is absolutely true. Called Chris at 1 o'clock in the morning for gunshots that I've heard in the neighborhood. You know, and we're all working together because, like I said, we have a once in a blue moon opportunity to have so much of our political powers around us, and they're all trying to do the right thing, being transparent and being empowering to others so that we can actually know what to do, you know, and know how to go about doing it. So they do two things for us. They teach us how to do it and they can help us get it done at the same time. So it's a win-win no matter what we're doing. So Parkside, Second Ward needs to take advantage of all of this, you know, because it's only going to work as long as you got the right person in office. If you don't have the right person in office, it's not going to work. We have looked back in our past, we can see how we have struggled to just get to this little bit that we're at right now. Just this little bit, just this comfort zone right now to say, I can call my assemblyman. I can go knock on his door. I can drop a note in his mailbox. I can go to my councilman and do the exact same thing. The president of the school board lives in our neighborhood. You know, the mayor lives in our neighborhood. So with that being said, you know, we can't go wrong. We just have to be vocal about what it is that we have to say. And if vocal is not enough, well, you sit down and write it down on a piece of paper. Can't nobody take away something that you've written. So you can do that as well. But we're really grateful for the fact that we have these men, you know, and you know, this now we're not taking away from our women. It was just men elected this time. Next time it may be a female. But right now, this is what we have. And taking, you know, the opportunity to, you know, let them be who they say they want to be. And they're showing that, you know what I'm saying? They are the change we want to see. I use that all the time because if change doesn't happen, then that means everything's stagnant. And when stagnant happens, stinky comes. And then when that's happening, it's dead. So we're taking advantage of the fact that we do have great counsel here with us. We have an assemblyman that's really like on point with everything. And we're not going to take anything away from Michelle Banks Spearman either, because she is one of those persons that if you need information, she's been in the city forever. She was just formerly the city attorney. She has so much knowledge in her. If you put a USB port in Michelle's brain and put it into a computer, it would blow up. I'm just letting you know. I'm just saying, because, you know, that's the kind of information we have. People taking a lot of knowledge and then they stop doing what they're doing. Like me, for instance, from the US Senate to where I am right now. This is why my brain is so constant, because I'm constantly trying to make sure that the people around me know what I know. So when God takes me up out of here, I didn't leave anybody with not enough information, because you have to have information in order for you to be strong enough to go forward. We're fighting powers, and what do they say? Principles and powers that we cannot see. We are fighting these things. And because we're fighting these things, we need people that are at the helm. So I appreciate this more than everything else. So we're going to our last half hour, maybe even go to 15 minutes tonight because it's based on how long this was going to take. But we just want to do some PSAs just to let people know about some things that's going on in the neighborhood. Councilman, chime in anytime. Assemblyman, chime in anytime. Ms. Tia, chime in anytime. Anybody that's got anything that they want to tell the community, that we're on this recorded call so that they can see what's going on later on when they take a chance to, like, you know, look at it from another thing. We can actually, like, you know, have that information. So starting off with, we have a haunted house coming up. Dare to Scare presents Chapter 4, Haunted House. Save the dates, Friday, October 28th and Saturday, October 29th. The doors open at 6 p.m. The donation is $10. They have a concession, free parking at 1656 Kane Avenue in Camden. We have had some brilliant and great sponsors for this haunted house for these young people. In the last couple of years, I was told, because I wasn't there, but I was told that somewhere close to between 1,500 and maybe 2,500 children show up. And so we as the neighborhood and we as the seniors should be, supporting them. We have Rexall as sponsors, Covanta as sponsors, Parkside, PBCIP definitely a sponsor, the Camden Store, Urban Banquet Hall, the City of Camden, Miss Corinne's Place, Adolescent Achievers, the Dare Academy, Big Picture Learning Academy, Donkey Steaks, Milestone Catering, and DJ KOD. I think that's what I'm supposed to be saying here. These are some of the sponsors, but you can be an individual sponsor as well. They still need donations of candy and water, and they're feeding these children and everything. So reach out and give as much as you can. Do as much as you can. These children don't have nowhere to go. They have nothing to do. They're either on media, social media, or out in the streets doing stuff they ain't got no business doing. This is a positive thing for them. And they all walk away, very happy. On the 30th, they're going to have at Dare Academy, save the date, trunk or treat, Saturday, October 30th. And that's why they need the extra candy and stuff like that, so that the children can do their trunk or treat instead of the trick or treat, riding around through neighborhoods that they don't know about and going to houses of people that may have, other ideas of what they could do to a person. The Society Room at 1900 Park Boulevard is now open for rental. After going through all of the COVID scares, we have come to the point where we now want to get back to letting people get back to their events and having their social time together. But we are mindful, just as Councilman Collins said, that COVID is still out there. So social distancing is definitely enforced at the Society Room. And we are limiting down to, we can hold 100 people in the room, but we're down to like about 80 at this point. So that would be 8 round tables of 10 people or 10 tables with 8 people. So either or, we can do that. I put the information on the chat. You can either call 964-3333 and ask for rental information. They're going to send you to me, or call 856-295-2611. And you can leave me a text message, and I will give you the information based on how we are. We are changing our pricing coming 2023. So this is the best time to get your last couple of months in for some things. And we're also going to have a few things coming up on working with Councilman Collins. We're going to have a couple of dance nights coming up, because we do not want to be on lockdown in the dark, in the house, in the cold for the rest of the winter. So we're going to start getting out, doing some line dancing, doing some stretch training, having some different types of events that's going to, bring the community out into the room that's at 1900 Park Boulevard. That's at the Camden County Historical Society. I renamed the room to the Society Room so that we'll have our own room. I have a ginormous sound system in this room. You just will not believe what it is when you hear it, but it's absolutely beautiful. So we want to do that. I am sure that there are other things going on. Ms. Tia, you got so many hats going on. Do you have anything that you would like to present to anybody, or let them know if you got something coming up or anything? Oh, Mr. Reese, I just want to say this to you. I got your phone call. So I did reach out to John. I did tell him what you told me, because, Chris and I do what you tell us. So that's the way we work. So I did do that. I didn't call you back, because when you give it to me, you give me enough information for me to just go ahead and do it. So I did do it. So I just wanted you to know that. Moving to Miss Pat and Aaron Cooper is on with us tonight. And this is really a treat, actually, because if you guys have been over to the society, the Camden County Historical Society, recently, and if you've been in the museum on the 2nd floor, that whole area back there where the music section is, the Camden music section is, that was painted by fireman Aaron Cooper. So him being on tonight is really a treat, because we don't, he's a fireman. They never have any time. So he's also running for city council. I mean, not city council, school board this year. And I invited all the school board members, because, I know all of them. And I asked them, if they had time to just show up tonight, because we were doing this. But since he's here, and if you would like to say anything tonight, that would be great. If you don't want to say anything tonight, that's fine too. just know I'm letting the audience know that PBCIP is not sponsoring any specific candidate. We believe that everyone should have the empowerment and the ability to be transparent, to say what it is that they have to say when they are running for a position in this city. We need to hear what you have to say. So, Aaron, are you unmuted, or do you like to say anything? There you are.
I'm unmuted. I just want to say thank you for the acknowledgement. That's huge to me. That means a lot, and I just appreciate it.
Oh, your work is so beautiful. Your artwork is so beautiful as an artist. You know, nobody would have ever thought that a fireman was an artist, but firemen are a lot of things. We're coming to find out. But, you know, we appreciate the fact that you had time to spend with us tonight. And, you know, we're looking forward to whatever it is that you have to show in the future. And your work is going to be in the museum forever, because it's going to take, you know, I don't know what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to whitewash the walls, you know, at some point to get it all off, because that's a lot of work. And you just can't just take the walls off and put them inside the museum. You actually have to, like, you know, take pictures of it. But it's so beautiful and it's so well thought. You know, I can feel how you was, like, you know, trying to bring these people to life from what you did. And if you haven't seen it, if the audience hasn't seen it, please go to 1900 Park Boulevard and tell them I would love to see the music room, the room that was painted by fireman Aaron Cooper, and then you will be amazed just like I am. Councilman, you have your hand up. Unmute.
There you go. Yeah, I fantastic artwork. Will any of it be for sale?
Aaron?
Unless I believe he was selling a lot of it at the street festival.
He did. Aaron, can you mute? Okay. He wants to know if any of your artwork's going to be for sale.
Yes, it definitely is available for purchase. The stuff that's the piece that I put up in the Historical Society, I gave it to Miss Condi, and basically that's hers. But as far as the rest of the artwork, I'm available. I got artwork posted on social media pages, on Facebook and Instagram, and they all are available for purchase.
Okay, excellent. So you guys can, you know, we'll find, I'm sure that Councilman has a number, and I do have Aaron's number. If anybody that's on this call, everybody knows me and knows my number, I can give you his number if you're interested in some of his artwork. We're going to have other things that's going to be coming up, like I know Kwanzaa is coming up in December, and he's normally there during Kwanzaa. So you should come to one of the Kwanzaa events, especially the one that's hosted by my daughter, Ransha Dickerson. He's normally at one of our Kwanzaa events with artwork, and that way you can actually purchase something, you know, that fits you, that speaks to you. And maybe something else coming up with the Harvest Fest that's coming up. I know that the Harvest Fest is going to be inside this year at the Camden County Historical Society. At this point, we're trying to make it work. Normally it's too many people that come, but we have limited seating because of COVID, but we just cannot not do it. So we're going to do it, and we're going to pray and ask God to protect all of us and just keep us away from COVID during this time period. But Aaron will be available, and Aaron, you can always, like, you know, post anywhere you want to let us know where you're on social media, like, you know, where your art is going to be at, so we know how to get to you. That's great. Let me see. So moving right along. Last thing that I want to talk about, we got about a few minutes, 20 minutes is exactly. But if there's any other questions or anything, this is an open conversation at this point. If you want to talk about things that we're talking about, the reason why voting is so important and why we should do this. Now, I may be talking to the wrong group of people for this, but this is a take back to your friends and tell them, like, listen, you cannot just take this power that's been given to you and just kick it to the curb. It's very important that you utilize this skill, you utilize this thing. And in order for you to utilize it, you have to go to the poll or vote early or vote by mail. It's too many options. New Jersey has so many options. So it's not like you can't do it. In a minute, you're going to be able to, like, you know, be able to pick up your phone and vote by phone. God only knows what's going to happen. Miosha has a question. Miosha?
It wasn't a question, but speaking of voting, I just wanted to mention that PBCIP is currently in recruitment for new trustees. So if you are a paid member and interested in serving on this wonderful board that we have here in Parkside, please email chairperson at pbcip.org if you're a paid member, and we can send you some details to see if you would like to run to be one of the trustees. The election will be held in December at our annual meeting.
Now, about membership. Membership, I think, cut off on the 9th of October, Miosha, was it? I think it was a month.
I'm sorry. It actually was October 14th.
Because
the annual meeting is December the 14th. So
14th,
it's 60 days
30 days,
before.
right? 60 days, yeah.
Yeah, Miss
So-
Patricia has a question.
All right, Ms. Pat, what's your question?
I think I got it now. Oh, yeah, I got it now. First question was, I wanted to know the hours for the museum, the music museum. The hours and the days, the time for that. That was number one.
Okay, so the hours for Camden County Historical Society run from Wednesday to Friday. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They open at 10 a.m. They close at 4 p.m. So if you
Okay,
want to go
10 to
anytime
4.
between that time, you on those days, that would be the best days.
Okay, and the next thing was about the voting. Are our children in schools, even the elementary schools, elementary, junior high, and high school, are they being taught or told about how important elections is and how they could encourage, since they're not old enough to vote, to encourage their parents to go out and vote? And when they have elections in school, are they using the voting polls so that they can get a feel of it? I remember when I was in high school and I ran for an office, and we had what was the big old poll things where you have to flip the little thing back then. And we had those in school, which made it easy so that when I did become old enough to vote and I saw that machine, I knew what to do. And they need to be reminded of the importance of voting, especially our Black children, the importance of voting. And since they can't, make sure they bug their parents, bug their relatives, bug their neighbors to go out and vote, because it's important. So that when they do get old, they'll be older, when they turn to 18 and they can register to vote. I mean, that was a big deal for me. I thought I was, oh my goodness, you couldn't tell me how important that was. I thought they was going to give me a big certificate, when I registered to vote. And when I didn't get it, I was disappointed. I thought I was going to get something big. And I said, well, where is it? They said, you registered, you okay? And I said, that's it. And they said, yeah. So I went home.
They don't make a big enough deal about it. They don't.
It's important that they start young, realizing the importance of voting, and make sure their parents get out and vote, even if they have to take them to the polls, walk with them to the polls to vote.
I remember, I think it was 2020 election. 2020 election was a presidential election. And, everything had been rearranged here in Parkside. I think that was the last year we were able to vote at Hatch. And I think it was the last year we were able to vote at Camden High as well, I think. So anyway, I am on my way to vote. My husband and I are on our way to vote. And my daughter, I see her pull up, and in her car is her 18-year-old son, my grandson, and the two younger ones that's under him. That's I think 13 and 12. No, 13 and 10 now. And no, she's 11. She just turned 11 in August. So they get out the car, everybody's going in, and the 18-year-old, I asked him, I said, are you going to vote? And he's like, yeah, Grandma, this is my first time. And I'm like, okay. So as a family, it was the grandparents, his mom, my grandson, all of us went in, and we all were all voting at the same time. And that right there was like iconic for us, because it had never happened in my lifetime. I never had all that much family voting at one time. So it's really important that the schools do make this so the children, make this important to the children, so they will understand exactly what it is. And a lot of children know, they do. They know a lot about this voting situation. They talk about it openly. They've got social media. They've got so much information that they can, share with everybody. And at the very end of the day, they're the ones that they're making decisions about things. But the thing is making sure they understand why they're making those decisions. So that was a great question, Ms. Pat. And that's one of the things that we should actually send to a couple of the people that's, in the school system, and to our school board president and vice president to, ask them, are you teaching, civic responsibility in schools? Are you teaching economics in schools, especially where our Black children are concerned?
Yeah. And even parents, my children, they're old now, but they have been going to the polls with me before they started walking.
Mm-hmm.
I used to take them to the polls with me when they were old enough to like flip the little red thing over.
Mm-hmm.
I would hold them and tell them which one to flip over, and they would flip it over. So they were accustomed to that. And when when my youngest daughter was her first time to vote, the people there thought I was a little exotic, because we were standing there taking pictures. I'm taking a picture of her signing her name in the book. I'm taking a picture of her standing by the pole, by the machine, and all. It was a big deal. Well, it was a big deal to me, and it was exciting. So as a result, we all still vote. We all still vote. So it starts. You got to take them, hold them up, tell them which one to push, let them push it.
If traditions are going to be developed within our lifetime, we are the developers of those traditions. And if that tradition just happens to be family voting, then let it be.
It's good.
It'll just go on from generation to generation. It's like Bridget always talks about, the generational wealth gap that we don't have, like, because we don't teach our children how to save money, like the program we just introduced tonight from Miosha and Angela. That's the start of a program. If they can see their parents doing that, then they will grow up and say, yeah, you know what, my mom and them, they got into this program and they were saving money. But you don't have to be in a program to save money. They just showed us that it can be done. Because everybody's not going to match your dollar. The bank is not going to match your dollar. The credit union is not going to match your dollar. They're not. So when you get a program that's going to match your dollar, you jump on that program, because somebody's giving you money and they're not asking you for anything in return, just to say that you were able to participate. So that's one of the things that we need to share with our children, and make sure that our children know these things as they're growing up and as they're getting older. But for the sake of, we've got a couple more minutes, and I'm going to close out early tonight because, people are tired. It's been a long
Sheila, Miss
week.
Teresa has a question.
Oh, Miss Teresa's back. Hey, Miss Teresa, what's your question?
Yes, it's not exactly a question. It's I was fortunate when I got to Camden, the YMCA had a youth and government club, and that's where I learned how to write bills and whatever. But I do believe that recently Governor Murphy did pass a bill where civics is supposed to be taught in schools now. So hopefully, yes, that will.
Awesome.
Yes, I did hear him say that one day. Okay, so.
Okay.
But
That's
what
awesome.
we do need organizations like the YMCA, maybe now the Boys and Girls Club or something, to start that again, the youth and government, so people understand how bills are written, how to become a senator, how to become a governor, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so.
Right. So between the councilman and the assemblyman, it's something that we can already start. It's kind of funny because right here in this book is telling us about, holding organized meetings in order to encourage citizens to act. It is useful to bring them together with fellow citizens concerned about the same issues and give them specific actions that they can take. So why not bring the youth together that way? Like, we can have the haunted house. What if the haunted house is also explaining to them about, their civic responsibility? A majority of those kids will be 18 years old next year. So, they're going to have to vote at some point in time, and holding neighborhood meetings like this one, PBCIP has been doing this for so long, it's almost second nature to them. It's just, they don't even think about it. It's just like, okay, we're holding a meeting. And we did it in every place that we could. We did it in what is, where Stars is now, meetings used to be there. In our own building at 1487 Kenwood, meetings were there. At the Boys and Girls Club meetings were there. We've had meetings just about in any place that they would accept us. The MLK Center, we had
For
meetings
free.
there
Right. First
for free. So
As
anywhere
Bill
we
and
can
Michelle
go.
are laughing. They were the founders, so they
Yes.
remember.
So, I mean, it's important for us to continue this. PBCIP is going to live as long as we can keep it alive, but we are not the living proof of it all. The children will be the living proof of what we did, because we have to pass this on to them and let them see what this is like and what it is. There's got to be another Miosha Lawrence somewhere. There's got to be another Angela somewhere, another Bridget somewhere, another Sheila somewhere, another Sarah somewhere. It's got to be another one somewhere, because this is what has made it run. And the persons that were part of the board that was making the decisions to help, round this out and everything. Nobody knows what a Bridget Pfeiffer does and a Miosha Lawrence does. Like, if you don't understand what a grant is, you need to look it up and read it, because it's a lot. And when these women come together and they take their brains and, pull out their hair from the front, because then, it's just driving them crazy, trying to find all these words to make these grants work. This is what they do. The youth need to know how to do this as well. We need to do this. Miosha picks up, an intern maybe ever so often. And I'm hoping that that part of what she does is what's shared with that intern. Bridget may pick up an intern ever so often, but that's how it gets started. But as long as we know that the school system, is now looking at civics as it should be and things that we should be teaching our children, it's up to us. It's up to us for us to be able to do more with our youth than we've done before, because technology is so, it's an advantage. It's the biggest advantage that we've ever had. And where Black and brown youth are concerned, yeah, it's okay for them to have a phone, you buy a phone or whatever, but it's not just for social media and taking selfies of yourself all the time. It's to glean more knowledge, gain information, learn how to utilize this part of it. You know what I'm saying? The Spearman sons are now, musicians. If they had not had the technology to be able to move forward, maybe that wouldn't have happened for them as soon. They still would have been musicians, but they had technology in their favor. I just got finished listening to Michael last night. Oh my God, that was so awesome. It was really cool. Well, I was just listening to him last night. And because technology is there, I may not be able to make his show, but I can listen to it and I can support him, even if I'm not there. So it's up to us to make all of this work for us and make these, make it where the children are, at a point where they understand why it's important to vote, why you need to get all of your ducks in a row, why you need to have all your research right, why you need to understand what the background of a person is, and make sure that they're coming in to do the job that they signed up to do. Because voting them in is one thing, getting them out is a whole nother process. And that's a whole nother process. You just can't fire them just like, oh, you're not doing your job, you're fired. No, it's a whole process to get them out. So you got to be really selective when you are voting for whatever candidate is running for whatever office they're running for, whether it be school board, council, assembly, state service as a state senator, U.S. senators, congressmen, commissioners, so many things. You know what I mean? Only thing you don't really have to put a whole lot of anything if it's the election of a dog catcher. Don't worry about that too much. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. But for everything else, you should be on top of that game. So if there's any other questions, please raise your hands. I will acknowledge you, or Miosha will acknowledge you. And I appreciate, hey, Malia, where you been? She just joined us.
I'm sorry, I was on another call and I'm like, oh my gosh, the meeting. So I shall catch you.
Thank you for joining us. I want everybody to say a prayer for Bridget Pfeiffer. I know she's going to tell me, oh, you don't have to tell. She's been under the weather. We need to pray her strength. She needs to get strong. I know she prays for all of us when we're sick. When I had my surgery in 2020, that woman brought me soup and everything else that I needed. And I just want to make sure that she's okay. So we all say our own special prayers tonight, just asking the Most High to just give her strength, recovery, and get her back on her feet the way that she normally is. She's a little tightened within herself. She's constantly in motion. And, she's not feeling this laying down thing, because that's not what people do. Queens don't lay down. We have to go. That's just the way we are. But I want to thank everyone for being on this call tonight, and just know that it was a quote in here that I wanted to read to you. It says, this came from General David C. Jones. He was U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff in 1963. And he said, don't tell someone what you know. Tell them what they need to know. Wait, let me say that right. Tell them what they need to know, what it means, and why it matters. And I think that's a very strong statement for us to close on, because that's the way we need to express to everyone about why you need to get out and vote. It normally rains on our voting days. It normally rains. It's either the weather is never favorable, not hardly, but that still doesn't mean that we should not walk to that poll, or now utilize your ballot and use your vote by mail, or vote early on a sunny day. Just go and vote between now and what date did I have on here? Let me just make sure I got the right date now. Hold on. Our early voting is from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, October 29th, all the way through to November 6th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it says early voting locations are not open on election day. And it says, see the front of your election day polling place. So inside of your ballot is going to tell you where you're supposed to be able to go and vote if you want to do early voting. And you have to give you early voting locations in Gloucester Township. In Camden City is going to be at Rowan University at 129 Broadway. That's all we really need to know. 129 Broadway, Rowan University, early voting locations. So if you want to vote anytime next week, starting this Saturday, you can just go and vote and be done with it. That way you don't have to worry about standing in line or waiting or whatever the case may be. And if you want to wait until election day to vote, vote on that day. I don't care which one you choose, just vote.
Sheila,
okay.
What's the polling place for Parkside? I forgot that quick. Just mention like the traditional day of voting. What's the polling place for Parkside?
Our polling place, is Councilman Collins still with us? Chris, you still there? I know we have ECDC had been the polling place for, I think where are we at? 2?
Didn't we do the Historic Society last time?
The Historic Society was doing, yeah. The Historic Society is taking the place of Hatch.
Right.
And ECDC is still the polling place for the other side that you was going to Camden High. Right. So that's what we did in the last election.
Good to know. I'm just good because you'd be surprised. Some people will actually call the office just saying, do you know where the polling place is?
Yeah. So City of Camden, Ward 2, District 1, Early Childhood Development Center, 1602 Pine. That's us.
What we did last year, we put a sign on the gate at Hatch because some people saw it was closed and they just turned and went back home. They didn't know to go across street to the Historic Society. And we also called the Board of Elections to come and bring a big flag out. Usually if they see a flag, they know that's a sign of a voting place. So
okay, thank you.
Put a big flag outside the Historic Society.
Good.
Chris, is there any possible way that there's a sign that can be made for this, for just so that they can know, like, voting is right across the street now, like just something to let them know? Because sometimes the flag doesn't really give them
I'll bring it up. That's what we did last time. We just drew a sign and said across the street.
Okay. Yeah. And it's a real simple thing. It's an in and out process. You don't have to climb any steps. You just walk right on in. Go in there and vote, walk right on out. Real simple. So I just want to thank all of our guests tonight, Assemblyman Spearman, Mrs. Spearman. I want to thank my co-workers, Angela Randall and Miosha Lawrence and Bridget Pfeiffer, our CEO. I want to thank Chris Collins, our councilman, 2nd Ward, editor of Anointed News Journal, and our pastor in Parkside. Okay, that's at least that part of it. We got a few pastors, but that's ours.
That need to be on the beach where Miosha is.
Miosha's always on the beach. She's like, listen, I ain't trying to go nowhere else. I'm good right here. I want to thank everyone that joined us. Belia, thank you so much. Aaron Cooper, thank you. Tia Rogers, Miss Patricia, Miss Teresa Atwood, the A, B, and C.
Ooh,
Isaiah Rivera. I think there was someone else that was on here. I think it was Carl that was on here. But I just want to thank everyone that joined us tonight. Please feel free to share this information. This is a recorded meeting. So this meeting is available on our website. If you go to pbcip.org, and you'll be able to see all of what we talked about tonight. Our next meeting will be November the 9th. And that's in 2 weeks. Y'all pray for me. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we're going to talk about food insecurities, food safety, and food produce. It's how we're going to actually do better in what it is. And it should be a really interesting program. And I think it's going to be some demonstrations on there as well. We will not have a Collins report in November. Our Collins report will be back in December at our annual meeting. And our annual meeting will probably, more than likely, as we stand right now, it's going to be our last virtual meeting until 2023. And hopefully we'll go back to our normal meetings where we can actually come together and break bread together and everything. So be on the lookout for the information. We're getting ready to hit the streets again. And I want to thank everybody again, and be safe, stay prayed up, share the knowledge, keep it moving, and let's do Parkside well. Thank you
and
all.
thank you, Sheila Green. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Be safe.
Good night.